Welcome to episode 4, setting up your default template. The intent of this video is to get familiar with setting up tracks and groups and curating them to us. Today's course overview will be creating default tracks, establishing a bunch of essential tracks, and then learning how to save the template and creating it as a default set. All right, let's start laying the groundwork to set up our default template. The first thing we're gonna do is create default tracks. And as you can see, I have a MIDI track and an audio track here, and there's nothing on them. The post-processing chain for both of them at the bottom are empty, but we're gonna change that. So we're gonna start with the MIDI track. Excuse me. But before I actually do that, I have one recommendation for you is remember in the video where I was describing the browser and how you can color tag things. What I had done is gone to my audio effects and color tagged pretty much every single audio effect in there. I know that when you first open up Ableton, there's like folders here with subfolders and the audio effects are within the subfolders. I found it extremely annoying to open up the folders and do all of that. I don't remember how I got rid of my folders and I don't remember how to enable them. If someone could teach me in the comments, that would be great. ChatGPT was no help. But yeah, my recommendation, right click an audio effect, select the color you want it to go to, and then just label that color favorite effects or whatever. I'm going to be getting all of these effects and tools from my collections, my color collections. All right, so let's get into it. The first thing we're going to throw onto our MIDI track is the Serum synthesizer if you have it. If you don't worry about it, but it's what I'm going to put on and it's what I recommend. It looks like this. You can get it from Splice. The next thing we're going to throw on is the utility effect. This is just a volume control. When it's turned on here, it's not doing anything to the audio unless you start turning knobs. The next thing we're going to throw on is the X for OTT. It looks like this. You can also get this from Serum. You'll probably be using this quite a bit in dubstep. And then we're actually going to turn that off with this button here. So right now it's off. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. We're gonna keep it off. And then we're gonna throw an EQ8 on. Your EQ8 does not look like this, so we're gonna quickly set that up for you. I'm gonna go ahead and reset all of this. So what I do is I enable this 3 node here. You just click on this little square and it's turned on. This is the frequency knob. We're gonna double click this and type in 3500 and press enter. It's gonna move it all the way over here. And then we're going to lower the gain -7 decibels. You can just type it in like that. And then this Q knob adjusts how sharp that curve is. And we keep it around 7 to 8 is like a decent value. So it should look something like this. And what this is doing is it's cutting out, automatically cutting out any frequency that wants to rise up through the frequency spectrum here. And it just happens to be that this part of the frequency spectrum is like really bad for your ears and it's like a high-pitched annoying sound. And sometimes when you're sound designing, you might get a random sound that comes through and it hurts. So I do this as a fail-safe and I highly recommend it to you. And one thing that we can do is while we're here, if you right-click like just to the right part where it says EQ8, you can go and save as default preset and click yes. So now every time I drag an EQ8 in, that failsafe is right there, and which is super nice. So we're done here with the MIDI track pretty much. The only thing we have to do is go to the MIDI track up here on the actual like track title on this like track header, right click in the next to the title of it. So you see this window, and then you're going to the bottom, save as default MIDI track, and then click yes. And now every time I make a new MIDI track, that entire post-processing chain is going to load, which is super, super clutch. And I found that these effects are just what I commonly use the most, so it's sweet. We're gonna go ahead and click on the EQ8 here on any one of these MIDI tracks that you made, and then we're gonna hold Shift and click the utility to highlight all of the effects. We're going to do Command C to copy them, and then we're going to go to that audio track and we're going to click in the gray bar here and do Command V to paste them in. And then guess what we're going to do? We're going to right click that audio track up here and save as default audio track and select yes. So now every time we make an audio track, boom, that post-processing chain is there, and man, that will save you so much time, especially from the beginning. So yeah, that's how you create default tracks. Okay, let's go ahead and start setting up the essential tracks for your default template. I'm going to go ahead and delete this MIDI track to start. So we have one audio track. If I have it highlighted and I do Command D, I duplicated it. If I hold Shift and I click the top one again, while highlighting the second one, I'm highlighting both now. And if I do Command D, I duplicated both at the same time, so now I have 4. If I click the top one, hold shift and click the bottom one, I'm highlighting all. I'm gonna do Command G to group, and then I'm gonna collapse that group. And then I'm gonna click on that group again. And then what am I gonna do? Duplicate it 3 more times for a total of 4 groups. All right, now let's go to the top one, and we're going to right click on the group header up here, and we're going to pick any color. I prefer dark red to make the group dark red. And then if we right click it again, and the second to last option says assign track color to group tracks and clips. When we enable that, all of the tracks become the same color, obviously. So let's get into labeling. If we click on the group and we right click it, we can rename with this option here. Or if we click on the group and we do Command R, which is what I would recommend to rename, we're going to rename this drums. I prefer doing everything in all caps, by the way, because my brain registers words in all caps a lot faster whenever I'm trying to read stuff. So I'm going to do drums, parentheses, drop, like that, because these are going to be the drums for our drop. The first track we're going to label kick. The second one is going to be clap. The third one is going to be hi-hat 1, which I just abbreviate HH1. And then the fourth one is HH2 for hi-hat 2. And we're actually going to group hi-hat 1 and hi-hat 2. And we're going to label this group cymbals. I know I might be moving a little quick right now, but hey, you got a pause and play button on your side of YouTube, so don't complain. We're going to go ahead and we're going to collapse all of this. We don't need it no more. We're going to go ahead, open up this second group, and we're going to choose a color, any color. I prefer this pastel yellow. Oh, sorry, this is actually going to be a navy blue-ish, and we're going to make it navy blue. And we're going to label this vocals. And some people call it Vox, V-O-X, but I like vocals. And this first one we'll just call, I don't know, vocal 1. We can actually delete these last 3, save some CPU. And again, we'll go ahead and collapse that. We'll do the third group now. This will be the pastel yellow. I'm gonna label this group effects. I'm going to create a group for these first 2 tracks. This is going to be known as intro effects. I'm gonna collapse that. And then I'm going to group this last one and call this build effects. I'm going to collapse that, and then I'm going to make all of these the same color. As you can see, they're all the same color. And we'll go ahead and collapse those. And then this group is going to be the fun one. This is our bass group. And then we're going to choose a color for this. Recently, I actually been changing it to this weird color. We'll assign it to this, and what did I want to do? I forgot, sorry. Oh, that's right. We wanted to put 1 MIDI track in here. We're going to do 1 MIDI track and 1 audio track like so. Okay, and then we can go ahead and collapse that group. Now we're going to highlight the bass group, effects group, and vocal group, and we're actually going to group all of these groups. And then this main group, we're going to label SC for sidechain, and we're going to make that a nice dark gray color. And so you should have a template that's built like this, where we have our drums on the top for the kick, clap. You could even honestly put a slash here and label it snare as well. Or if you really want to get crazy, you could just do this, put it, excuse me, another one for snare. Yeah, so you should have something like this, where you have your drums on top, your sidechain group with your vocals inside, your FX group inside, and then your bass group. Yeah, we'll just keep it as that for now. I'm actually going to delete these return tracks at the bottom. I am not a fan of return tracks right now, but I will explain those later. But just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to delete them. And yeah, that's it for this part. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and save it as a template. This is very easy. You're just going to go to File, and then it's the 4th to last option, Save Live Set as Template. And then we could go ahead and name this Skeleton Temp version 1. Skeleton because there's no audio files in it right now. It's just tracks, and we'll save it like so. If you wish, you can go ahead and save as default set so that every time you open up Ableton, it will just load this. However, I don't recommend doing that because in the next video, I'm going to be putting a lot of audio files in here, like actually making a drum loop and maybe even like installing a sub and stuff, and that will be our default template later on. Hey, congratulations. You got real used to making audio tracks and MIDI tracks and duplicating and grouping and labeling and coloring, and get used to that because that's just the name of the business, dude. You got to get real quick with it. Remember the key commands and the shortcuts to do so. It'll save you time. And you also figured out how to save it as a template or a default set. And now you own it forever, and you can always keep coming back to that skeleton template and doing whatever you want with it and manipulating it how you wish. The next video, we're going to get into actually loading audio files into that skeleton template and making drum loops and stuff like that, which actually is going to require us a little bit of work beforehand of creating folders on our desktop or possibly our hard drive, and just kind of setting that stuff up. So I'll go ahead and catch you in the next video.